I want the throne, dude. What the fuck? You got me on a couch like a bitch.
What's the worst experience you've ever had?
During the pandemic, they started doing these outdoor shows. At this point, I just want to get on stage, right? And the stage is a picnic table. Unsteady. You can see me go to my car and leave. Just fucking drive off a bridge, dude. Woman on a date with a guy. He's like, hey, Brenda, you bitch. And this is while the comedy show's happening, by the way. I'm gonna come back with my gun. And everyone's like, oh, I had to go on after that, and I was still the worst part of the show.
What's going on, everyone? It's your boy Lowe's Cut It, and you're in the cut. But first, with my homie Ruben, I'm gonna let you introduce today's guest because I know he's one of your peoples. Let's go.
So, to begin the show, man, we got another banger for y'all in the cup, man. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Lady Curls episode. That one went crazy. And now we have another crazier guest. This is my brother from another mother. We get confused a lot because we're equally handsome together, you know. My brother, VICK PANDYA. How you doing, baby?
I'm doing well, man. First line of the podcast, already out there.
That's crazy.
No, I gotta be honest. I gotta be honest. The reason why I didn't introduce you is because I kept calling you Vic Pena, and he was letting it slide for so long. And he was like, I was gonna wait till the show started. And I'm like, no. You see, that's wrong. So I didn't want to fuck it up.
I know that he only did that because he also wasn't confident on how to pronounce it. So he's like, PANDYA, yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, let me just toss it to Ruben, man.
Introduced me at the show like just first name, like Prince, like Vic. I'm like, there's more.
That's it.
What up, Vic? How's everything going, bro? Thank you for being here today, bro. It means a lot.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for having me. This is a dope space. I love everything you guys are doing. So I'm here to support as always. It's going well, man. I'm touring now, so
Nice.
on the road quite a bit. And just happy to be back in Chicago for a couple weeks.
Are you from Chicago?
I grew up outside the city, but I've been in the city now. I went to college at DePaul, so I've been here for like 15 years now.
Oh, dope, man. So yeah, 15 years. You know, you're.
I can
Chicago.
call myself, but
Yeah.
I know the podcast might get mad if I say Naperville. I'm gonna lose all my street cred.
Are you for real from Naperville?
Yeah.
From the Burbs, bro.
From the Burbs.
Ain't no wrong with that.
And no, that's what I'm saying. Because, bro, we got Ken Flores. He's from Aurora. Like, people are always like, hey, you're a Chicago comedian? I'm like, I am. But, like, we in the burbs, though.
Well, there's also, in the comedy scene, there's a Chicago suburb comedy scene, which is a whole separate, there's a whole Facebook group, and they have their own shows, they have their own mics. But in the city, I mean, the scenes are very close, but some people don't make it out there at all. But there's tons of great shows in the suburbs, like Aurora, crazy shows. They
Really?
have clubs out there. Yeah, it's a whole suburb.
Now, is it the suburbs that don't want to be part of Chicago, or is it Chicago that don't want them to be a part?
I think the Chicago comics definitely have a little chip on their shoulder.
Yeah.
Like, man, you don't know what it's like. We out here doing 8 mics a night, bombing at every single one. Like, it's like, but that's what it is. And the suburb scene is like, oh, we're very supportive. There's one mic a night, so we all support each other. It's a much smaller scene.
Okay.
But they both have their pros and cons. I think I've always been someone who I do everything. I do suburbs, I do south side, north side, west side. I tour.
see, man.
East side, east side. Like, dude, I'm telling you why there's so many sides that he touches, bro. Like, if you had him on Facebook, you would understand. And if you have him on Facebook, you know exactly what I mean. He'll post his weekly schedule. Bro, at some point, it gets crazy because he has shows at the same time. Like, he'll post his shows, and he'll have 3 shows within an hour.
Yeah, that's what he was telling us, man. And what's crazy is one of the main reasons you're here today is because when Ruben brought you up as a suggestion, I was like, fuck yeah, simply because when we had our last show, you just came out the plane, from what I heard, you just came from a gig or a plane or something, you came straight here. You were like in a suit and tie. I'm not sure if that had anything
I
to do
just
with
came from a private gig, so I was doing like this.
Was it a dress code there?
It was a dress code. I had to dress up for that. So I came in. I actually was here. It looked like I was crashing a quinceañera. I dressed up. I was like, I'm here to trying to find a wife, dude. I came ready. But yeah, dude, that's what comedy is amazing because you can open one show, you can close one show, and that's how you do that. And then also in the city, you know, once you start doing it long enough, you know all the illegal parking spots that are like right by the club, and you can pull up and just run in.
Headlights on.
Headlights on, like flashers on, go do your set, leave. And now I'm comfortable enough, like I know, like Ruben, I knew, like I was like, where am I in the lineup? I can kind of plan it, you know, accordingly. So it's amazing. I mean, it's so fun. It makes you insane because you're constantly like running from gig to gig and switching. But that's what keeps it fun because you're like, oh, this show I gotta be clean. This show I can do whatever the fuck I want. Like it's all different, and that's
how did you feel about our setup when you were here?
It was great, man. I mean, I always love a wide. I think comedy is best enjoyed instead of these like stage at one end and then room way far back. It should be like wide set how you guys had it, because then everyone has a good view, right?
Right.
And the comic is kind of in the middle towards the wall, and then you have everyone kind of around them, and that's what feels better too. I think the audience then also feels like it's easier to get something going, you know?
Right. Yeah.
And crowd was into it. Like you had, the show was crazy. You had music, comedy. Like whenever you have music or poetry and comedy, it's hard to sometimes follow that.
Right.
But the mood was so good in here. The vibe was so like correct that I think everyone enjoyed it. And that's very hard to curate. So kudos to you guys for doing that.
Oh, of course, guys. So it is February 8th today, which is Wednesday. We're going to try to drop this podcast ASAP. Hopefully tomorrow morning I'll drop it, get it going. Only because you're going to be back here this weekend, February 11th, Saturday. And you guys are just going back and forth on, and this is all new to me because I'm listening to this. I've been a fan of comedy my whole life, right? But it's also dope seeing like the inside, like the back end of stuff. And you guys are going back and forth on who's closing what, this person. Now, what's your strategy when it comes to like knowing when to open or knowing when to close? I know you guys are both comedians, so go ahead.
Well, it was funny because originally I would probably have had to close because I was going to come. I was coming from the Laugh Factory, and the show there's a 7:30, 9:30. I was supposed to be on both. So if I'm on the 9:30 there, even if I go up first at that show, earliest I'm getting here is like 10ish, right?
Oh shit!
So that means I'd have to go after 10 p.m. here.
Mm-hmm.
But now the booker there just told me, he's like, hey, we're moving you from that show to a different one. So I'm just on the 7:30, which means now I can get here at
You
at the
can even
start.
come and hang out and shit.
Yeah, so like that's kind of it's a little pressure off me, and now I told Ruben, I was like, so you put me wherever you want, wherever you feel the show is best, and so I don't mind where I go because I think it's a compliment as a comic. Like a lot of people are like, oh, the best comic goes last. It's like, no, that's sometimes the least booked comic goes last.
That's true.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's what it is. That's why you go to like LA or New York and you're on these shows with these like crazy all headliner lineups, and you're like, man, Chris DiStefano went first. Then it was like Joe Liz. Then it was this guy. Then it's like, oh, all these people I don't know. But all those first comics have other shows to go to. So it's like you go up first, and so that's the difference. Like obviously, if the show is advertised like, oh, headliner is somebody, then you're the draw, you're the bill.
Yeah.
But if it's a showcase, like don't ever assume the last person is the best person or whatever. I think it's just, and every show is different. Like sometimes that it works out that way. And if Ruben had built it as like, oh, this is a VICK, PANDYA and Friends show, and it's like a Valentine's Day thing, and I would still show up in the suit trying to find love, whatever. And so I would, if he did that, then I'm like, then I'm like, all right, now I'm headlining. Like it's a different thing.
Right.
But if it's a showcase, like whatever, who cares?
That's dope, man.
But then it comes back to the thing, bro. We have all headliners on the lineup, so.
Well, that's because you booked a good show. So
Yeah,
good
no, but no.
I didn't book anything. Ruben did all the work. All I did was Ruben. I give him I'm like, yo, don't fuck this up. That's all I did.
It's hilarious because he'll stress. Like right now he's cool. Right now he's cool. But Friday morning he'll hit me up like, hey, bro, they funny, right? Like they really funny. Like,
well, I feel because this is your space. You probably feel attached. Like if I bring people to my space, I don't want this shit to suck.
Right.
Oh yeah.
100%.
Yeah, you can't have that chair there and it'd be bad. Anything in here be bad. If you have a chair like that, if anything in here sucks, you're like, man, they shouldn't put that chair there. That's too.
Dude.
That's too nice.
I was more
perfect chair.
nervous on the first, like the one you were part of. I was more comfortable. The first one, I mean, I was stressing because Ruben just didn't give me any information. Like I didn't know when you guys were showing up. I didn't know how it worked. So it was like the show already had started and we were still missing like 3 comedians. In my world, as an educator, we got to be there hours before the show starts. We got to, everything's got to be ready. And then I can see where you guys say like just because you're the last one doesn't mean you're the best one, because sometimes they need strong openers.
Exactly. I think it's an honor to be asked to go first sometimes too. People get like offended sometimes, but it's like no, they want to open the show strong. Because sometimes the crowd is like, oh, they're not warmed up, or they haven't had enough to drink, and they just settling in, or it's like it's cold outside, they're coming in, they're all mad about parking. Like you don't know what has happened.
They
before.
just got pulled over and shit.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's honestly like people don't realize like there's so many dynamics that go into comedy, and that's why even are you hosting? You're hosting this one? Yeah. So like Ruben's a great host because he's like neutral, like he can do any room. But sometimes hosts are like low energy or like too high energy, and then if you're the comic right after them is the opposite, then it can kind of throw the show off.
Yeah, he's a good balance.
If you have someone who's neutral who can kind of keep the energy up and like keep the hype up the whole show, that's also super important. I think the host is the most important part of the show.
Yeah, Ruben kills it, man. I'm proud of you, Ruben, because when I remember the first time I went to go see you, I didn't know you. Shout out to Ricky for putting me on and gave us free tickets, and I sat right in the front. And you remember the one thing that you, I don't know, no, it wasn't you, it was another comedian, was like, what's your favorite restaurant? And then Ricky out of nowhere was just like, Red Lobster, knowing damn well he hasn't been at Red Lobster in like 6 years. And I'm like still trying to figure out why the hell he said Red Lobster. He don't even know why he said Red Lobster. But that was the first time I got to see Ruben, and it was hilarious. But it also opened my eyes to another thing. I went to see Ruben again like the following week, and it was the same act, right?
Yeah.
And then I started realizing, I'm like, so this is what they mean when like Kevin Hart goes to all these small little comedy to practice his act. It's the same act, but you're cleaning it up as you go. So when it hits the perfection, you go open up a tour and all that.
Yeah.
So that's what you do as well, right? You go around and do all that.
Yeah, and that's why like, you do so many shows or you do so many mics just because you're trying to hone the joke and craft it, and then when you put it out on like a special or an album, you have done that joke like hundreds of times, but it's the best version of that joke. So what we do like during the week, like now that I'm touring and like on the road, like I'm doing these longer sets, like 45 minutes, hours on the road.
Wow.
So during the week, I'm just working on like new shit, working on like other like stories I can do. And then on the road, I put it all together and make it comes into the full set. So that's why, like, it's funny because I always think about it sometimes, like on a Monday or Tuesday, someone sees me and they're probably like, oh, I have heard of this guy in Chicago. Like, he's supposed to be pretty funny. And then they just see me eat complete shit because I'm doing brand new material.
Yeah.
And they're like, this is the guy?
Oh,
This is the guy?
This is Chicago's hero?
Yeah,
This is your king?
Man, this is so it's kind of, but like you have to accept that you're like, I've already proven myself in this city. I don't need to be out here. And it's not that it's say I'm out here bombing, but it's like sometimes you gotta try shit. You gotta, and I don't want to do it on the headlining show when I'm doing like an hour where it's like they're paying to see me.
Right.
But I will do some bar show that like it doesn't matter. That's so it's kind of like you have to find ways to get that working, and that's why when you see like Ruben doing it, hopefully it's changed and gotten better.
Oh yeah.
Because if you just do the same act without changing anything, then you're not.
It's always
improving.
adding.
Well, to rephrase that, even though it was the same thing, same act, both times that I saw him, it was completely different, but same joke. You could tell he twisted a couple of things around. He paused at certain areas where he didn't before, and all that. But seeing you for the first time, Ruben, that shit was hilarious, man. Like there was a lot of stuff that I was just like, I was rolling laughing. I remember telling Ricky like, dude, this guy's hilarious. But like I said, I was so ignorant to that, thinking that I was gonna see you again and you're gonna have a whole new fucking material. But at the same time, I can see how that is because there's times where when I'm on stage, I don't know if you know, I do education. And you know what? To be an entertainer and educated and all that, you got to throw jokes in there to keep the crowd awake and all that.
Absolutely.
So sometimes I do throw jokes in there and it just flies over people's heads. And I'm just like, fuck. Now, you have two options. You can control the outcome and keep it going, or you can be awkward as hell and then just shut yourself down. I got to ask you, bro, first of all, how long have you been doing comedy for?
7.5 years now. And that feeling you just described of like, oh, fuck, no one laughed or no one got it. That's your whole first year of comedy. That's every day. You're like, oh, man, I got this funny thought. And then you go on stage like a few hours later, you're like, nobody laughed. You're like, I'm going to go kill myself. Oh, shit, no one gave a fuck about what I thought. And it's bad because in comedy, it's unlike any other art form where you feel like, as an educator, you're like, this is someone's material that I'm presenting, or I have a lesson plan. Comedy, you're like, this is my idea.
It's your own shit.
This is me, and this is what I think is funny. So when you present it and it bombs, you're like, I'm not funny. I'm bad. So it's real fucked up. It's a mind, and then you have to get real comfortable not being attached to material because you throw so much shit out. I mean, how much stuff do you write? And you write 10 pages, you whittle it down to 1 page of good stuff, but you have to write the 10 to get to that one.
Oh, yeah.
So it's volume.
It's not even, bro. It's like you think it's gonna hit so well. You're like writing it out. You're like, dude, I'm gonna go viral off this.
Yeah,
and
I'm
then
gonna kill him with this shit.
And you present, you're like, I'm throwing that one away. Immediately.
And that's why you see someone who's new, like a few months into comedy, they do a joke and it bombs, and then they don't react. They don't pivot. They just go right into the next line because they don't have. But to your point about like, you're doing the same act. It's like when you're that new, you only have the 5 minutes.
That's true.
You don't have 10 minutes. You don't have half an hour. Like, at this point now, 7.5 years in, I've had like a couple hours, 2.5 hours of material, so I can change up.
Yeah,
what's
you know
happening.
what to pull out.
Yeah, but like a few years in, I didn't have that. So you have to kind of like rely on that material. And then you start learning there's like crowd work and there's like improvisation you can do and you can pivot in different ways. But when you start, you're like, oh, this is it.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else to say.
Like the first comedy show that I went to see you, there was a guy, I don't know his name, but he would say something and it wasn't that funny and no one really laughed, and then he just turned around, looked at his notebook, and did one of these.
That's a good save.
And then he would just keep going with another joke, and I was like,
So there's different like ways you can. I call them saves, where someone's like, oh, that one didn't work, or like, and it's funny.
Yeah,
it's funny for like once or twice. You get like, I think you get 1%. Because if you're saving more than once, then you're just bad at
that
comedy.
wasn't funny either.
Yeah.
Okay, let me.
Now it's your fault. You're not funny. Like, be better.
No, bro, dude, it's one of those things too, man. Because like it's so hard, like being a producer, right? you know, you produce these shows, and bro, like I get hit up all the time. How do I get part of these shows? I can get a part of these shows, and like, bro, for me, bro, like, you got to go to my buddies first, because that's pretty much my, like, where, you know, Los, he'll watch whatever comedian that I haven't had here before, right?
Mm-hmm.
That haven't really technically proven themselves, because he has a say too. Like, if he wants something, hey, I like them.
Yeah.
They're going into the next one. That's immediately.
I'm
you
like
know?
a scout. I'm in that
Yeah,
shit with
literally,
a
bro.
little notepad and shit.
And even in the first one, like, he's like, they were like, hey, how can I get to headquarters, knowing that they're still going to be looking off their notebook.
Yeah, see, that's
You know, and so it's like,
But see, when you're new and you know this from, because now you've been doing what, a few years now?
yeah, 2.5 years, yeah.
But you know, like your first 6 weeks in, you don't like know any of this stuff. So that's why it's important to have these like leveling kind of things. Like I have the same thing. I produce a bunch of shows. I used to do way more. And we used to have like an entry level type show where we kind of book, you know, everybody. That's like the open mic. That's like anyone can get on. But then if you do well on that and we see you can work like different crowds, we'll book you on this next one and then the next one. So
there's levels out here.
levels.
Literally what this is.
And that's what a guest spot is, right? A guest spot is like a short amount of time, like maybe 5-6 minutes. It's generally unpaid, but the purpose of that is to prove yourself, do your best 5 minutes, kill it, and then come back and do the paid spot, do a longer set. So that's like, and that's what clubs do. Clubs will do the same process, right? They make sure you do a guest spot, and some clubs will even require you to do that clean, meaning you can't cuss.
Wow.
Oh yeah, Mikey O, bro. Have you done a show? With
Yeah,
Mikey O before?
absolutely. Yeah, so that way it shows the booker that you can write a joke and you can work clean. Because then if you have the skill set to do that, then they're like, all right, now you can work the club. When you start working the club, like now you do whatever you want. But you have to kind of prove yourself as like a joke writer and as a comedian. And that's like Zany's used to do that. That's how I got it initially. I'd do 10-minute clean sets.
Oof. All right, so that leads me to my next question, man. 7.5 years. What's the worst experience you've ever had?
Ooh, there's so many, dude. Some PTSD. I wish I had alcohol for that.
He's about to take a drink of your coffee, bro.
Get him a shot.
I know. Worst. So this is actually during the pandemic, because like we talk about bombing, which is, if you don't know, like just doing badly on stage. Like a joke doesn't work, no one laughs, right? So when you're new in comedy, if you're doing 5-minute set and you get no laughs for like 4 minutes, imagine 4 minutes of silence out of your 5 minutes. I mean, that is crazy.
Oh god.
You got that sweat dripping.
Yeah,
in your back
that's
and
so.
shit.
At this point, 7.5 years in, like I haven't had a set where it's been like out of the 10 minutes of the set, like if 2 jokes don't land, I'm like, that's a bomb. Like I consider that a bomb.
Facts, bro.
Now, why wouldn't they land? Well, what do you think?
It could just be either, to your point, maybe it went over their head. Maybe it was the wrong type of joke for this crowd. It could have been not done yet, and it was me just trying some shit.
Okay.
And I consider that like, oh, and I bombed. But really, it's not a true bomb. A true bomb is like silence, right? That's a true bomb.
Or
but
getting
as you
booed
get
out. Getting booed out.
Yeah,
Bro,
as you get
have you ever
leveled up.
seen anybody get booed out?
Yeah, absolutely.
I've seen that
Yeah,
shit
yeah.
too, bro. It was,
Yeah.
dude. It was, bro. One time.
Hold on. We're trying to get to his worst story, then I want to hear
Yeah.
that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
This might. Well, I've been booed. I did an abortion joke in Kansas. They didn't like it. But yeah, I've been. But I didn't leave the stage. I was like,
He said, "No, fuck that."
Yeah, I'm
My
finishing
contract says I got 20 more minutes.
Yeah. So during the pandemic, right, everything kind of shut down. Comedy stopped. So they started doing these outdoor shows. So I hadn't gone on stage in 6 weeks or 8 weeks or something, and then they're like, do you want to do this outdoor show? It's on a patio, and it's at this like place in the suburbs. It was in like Cicero or something.
Okay.
And it was outside, and I'm like, yeah, of course. Like I'm just at this point, I just want to get on stage, right? So I get there, and the stage is a picnic table in the middle of the patio.
In a fucking picnic table.
It was on a pic. It was like unsteady, and they're like, "This is it." And I was so like, now if you gave me that shit now, I'd be like, absolutely not. You know? But at the time, I was like, it's better than Zoom, so I'm like, yeah, let's go. So I get on stage, and it's a bad show. Like no one's doing well. The crowd, the people sitting there are eating. They're not there for the show. They didn't know the show was happening.
Oh my god! So you're just this random dude on a fucking.
You're just a random guy in the middle of and there's like families and shit, and they didn't tell anyone to work clean, so everyone's like swearing. It's just awkward. It's like full daylight, and so I get on, and I'm like, I was a little cocky. It's like, man, I got this 6 years. This was 6.5 years in. I was like, man, I got albums out. I'll be fucking fine. I got specials and shit. So I go on, and I hadn't done stand up though in like a couple months, and you forget it's like working out. It's like a muscle.
Yeah.
So I get on stage and I do my first my opening bit. Nothing. silence. And then you immediately start losing confidence. You're like, oh shit, the table starts wobbling more. And I'm like, and I was like, I get to the next line and then my throat starts to like choke up. Like I haven't had these like nervous things in years, you know?
Right.
So I'm like, what is happening? And then I was supposed to do 15 minutes. I did 4 minutes.
Oh my god.
And I was like, let's get your next comic up here. My voice got all high pitched and shit. I swear, I literally got the next comic up. I leave and it's outside. So my car, you can see me go to my car and leave and fucking drive off a bridge, dude. It was like I literally just. And the craziest part about this show is right before me, there's a woman on a date with a guy, and this guy came on the outside. He was like. It almost looked like a staged thing because he's like, hey, Brenda. He's like, you bitch. He starts yelling at her from across the patio. He's like, oh, you on a date right now? And she's like, yeah, I'm on a date. And this is while the comedy show's happening, by the way. This is so comment before me is like, what is happening? And this guy goes, he's like, I'm gonna come back with my gun, and everyone's like, oh shit.
Oh my.
And you still perform.
Yeah, and then I had to go on after that, and I was still the worst part of the show.
That was still in the back of your mind.
After someone got threatened with violence, I still bombed harder than the guy with the gun. Like, it was so bad that I was like...
You bombed harder than the threat.
Yes, than the threat. I was like... That's why I had to leave. I was like, I have to go home. I can't... So I was like, oh, man, that's why you can never get cocky in comedy, because there's always a show that will
They'll
check
humble
you.
bro.
Yeah.
Humble you.
Bro, they'll be like, literally, like, you can go on... You know, here's the thing, too. Like, do you ever feel like when things are going too well, you're like, I'm due for a bomb?
Oh, absolutely.
Bro.
I mean, I make it a point to do that. I always go, like, if I have a great weekend, like... You know, you do these headlining weekends. You're doing 3-4 shows. You're doing like hour each show. You start to feel like you're like, oh my god, this is like I'm so on right now. Like everything's clicking. And then you come back on Sunday. You're like, let me do a mic or like a bad show just to like level out, because otherwise you just ride into that mind, and you can't do that because you need to always. So that's like important to always do new jokes. It's important to always kind of be trying stuff, because if you get too comfortable, that's when you get bad.
Yeah.
And people do the same act for like 10 years. You're like, dude, change it. Like, shit's changed. The world has changed. You have to update
It's not
it.
even relevant anymore.
Because even like COVID-19 jokes, I feel like it's like if your plethora of it is just still talking about it.
No, I'm over that. I don't even want to talk about that.
it's
Yeah,
one of
no
those
one
things.
wants-
Don't
one-
remind me of that shit.
No, because
You know
here's
what
the
I
thing, bro. There's still the whole thing is about COVID. I'm like, bro, like kind
Yeah,
Yo,
so how about
Pat.
these masks? How about these masks?
of right. I'm like,
Well, first of
damn.
all, COVID's a hoax. No, I'm kidding. I'm sorry. Yeah. So during the pandemic, when clubs opened, you had to be vaccinated. You had to be, and at that point, again, I was so desperate. I was like, "Yeah, dude, give me fucking, give me
all three
Moderna,
of,
Pfizer,
give me all three of them
yeah,
motherfuckers,
fucking
bro.
Put it in my,
And I'll take a booster.
boost
Bro.
it, put it in my fucking dick. I don't give a shit. Let's go, dude. Someone has
I'm
Someone
vaccinated,
had a funny
so-
joke
Same.
about that. They're like, one of the side effects was like things could get like. Your body dysmorphia could happen. He's like, put it in my dick, dude. What's the worst that could happen? Because
Yo, so as we got started with the show, you were talking about some new products you got here, man. Why don't you share that with us? Because we got actually a couple gifts for you, man.
oh
You-
shit, dude.
of
Yeah. So
course.
comics will typically sell shitty T-shirts after shows. I don't do that. I sell
Hey,
these.
it's fucked up because Ruben got
yeah,
t-shirts.
let me put my shirts away.
Yeah,
Shirts
dude. Burn those, please.
Fuck.
Let's. Well, this is very apropos for the venue we're at right now. But I'm selling these
That's
metal
your camera
combs.
right there. Yeah, that one right
Metal combs. These are this company called Go Comb. They make these wallet-sized combs. So these are brushed metal. They're black matte. The color's black matte. It says it says it's a Dapper King logo that I designed on the front, and then the back is like my Instagram handle in cursive. And then there's a wide tooth and a narrow tooth, and the narrow tooth has a bottle opener too. So
So sick, dude. I actually held them, and they're like legit, like metal. They're solid, and I could picture you like bombing a show or killing a show, and then just pulling it out of your back pocket, like.
yeah, that's the
know what I mean?
if a joke bombs, it's gonna do this. I'm like, yeah, at least you look. 'Cause that's the thing. I always in comedy. That was a big thing when I started. I was like, hey, I can bomb, but at least I'll look great.
You look fly.
Yeah, at least I'll look
You
good.
can't
doing
call
it.
him ugly.
Yeah, you can't. If you bomb
you can call
and
me
you're,
for ugly, but you can't call me ugly.
imagine if you bomb and you're ugly.
Damn.
Oh shit.
You might as well kill yourself, dude. That's
At that
bad.
point, unalive it. Yeah, fuck it, bro.
Yeah.
No, I think that's when people just start feeling bad for you. Like fuck, look at this guy.
Yeah.
He
yeah,
ugly
you're right.
and he bomb. Like, hey, at least give him a hand or something.
Well, now see, it was a big push for like body positivity and like just like happy shit like a few years ago. Now it's coming back, dude. People are like, you're fat, I hate you. Like, it's good. It's coming back.
Yeah, it's
We
keeping-
need some of that.
It's getting raunchy.
Keeping it
again,
real.
People
bro.
were getting too encouraging. I don't like that at all. You gotta.
Yeah, because you're ignoring the red flags. Like, come on, dude. Like, go get.
Well, also
you know?
in comedy, like the way you come up is like, dude, it's open mics are brutal. Like it's like no one's laughing. You're just sitting there. You're like, am I funny? Like you really shed that layer of your ego that first year, and it's important to do that because then you don't take things personally, and then you develop a thick skin, which is important in comedy.
Especially when you upload your first reel.
Ruben's
Bro.
got PTSD.
Oh fuck, bro! So the funniest one just happened. So YouTube Shorts is so underrated. Comedians, anybody watching this, use YouTube Shorts to your advantage. Their algorithm is beautiful, especially for comedians. And one thing is, I get love out of YouTube Shorts, except the last one I uploaded. A gentleman commented, "You know what? I'm gonna screenshot it. I'm gonna send it to Lo so we can put it right here." This dude said, "This guy isn't funny at all. I miss Robin Williams."
Oh shit! He's comparing you to the GOAT.
Yeah, I was like,
yeah, at least you got mentioned in the same sentence.
Yeah.
And somebody commented right under, like, "I would say you're right, but these kids think that this guy is gonna be funny." And so I just said, "Thank you for watching."
Yeah,
There you go.
Thank you for
Yeah, you'll say it gave me a view, bro. I don't know, my analytics was fire, but no, at the end of the day, man, that's what I tell people, bro. Like, even pursuing entertainment, if anything you put up online, bro, is there to either get blessed or eaten alive.
Yeah.
So be careful when if you guys are sensitive, I guess.
It'll help build thick skin, man, in my opinion. Because it's crazy is your guys' job is to entertain and make people laugh. My job is to teach something. So it's I would say equal amount of stress. If I can go on stage for an hour and you don't learn shit from me, what am I doing on stage, right?
Yeah.
So I get it. It's crazy. But while you were speaking about your combs, like I got a couple gifts for you. I'm glad you got a comb because it tells me a lot about you, that you care about your hair and you obviously got it styled. So this podcast is actually sponsored by Level 3. So if you don't know, Level 3 is one of the best products for men's grooming. And we got a VIP box for Mr.
Oh, shit, dude.
Yes, sir.
So I got my little box cutter.
That's why he asked for it. But people don't know he asked for a box cutter before the show started. I'm like, is he going to take my shirt off? Like, what? This is a different rate, okay, if we're doing that. You got to lower the lights, set the mood or something, dude.
Figure out how to open this for you, man.
That's fucking cool, man.
All right, brother. So pretty much what it is a VIP box. It got everything you need from shave gel, hairspray,
hell
your
yeah,
aftershave
dude.
cologne, you got matte finish, spider wax, styling powder, hand sanitizer, COVID-19. We were just talking about that. So a little bit of everything, bro. This is just for you. This is about a $80 box, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But you could keep that next to you, man. But there's a little gift.
Man,
and
it's heavy.
Oh, yeah, it's legit, man. So enjoy that. I don't know what
Thank
you
you
use
so
now,
much.
but do not bring it up. But don't talk about it.
I mean, I use Level 3, obviously, dude. What are we talking
And
about?
then, man, you know what? Your first comedy show here, you came as a guest spot. You came last minute. You did it out of love. It was the first time we got to see you. I thought you were hilarious. And the one thing that Ruben was like, he bought a hat. I'm like, he bought a hat? He said, yeah, he bought the white hat. I'm like, what? The white Scully? He's like, yeah. So now I got you a black Scully, some merch, a white shirt to go with your
dude,
hat.
I love
and
it.
a black shirt to go with your hat, man.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Of course, brother.
Normally what I wear on stage is like a black shirt and then like a bomber jacket or like a jean jacket. So this is like a little different. I'm wearing like a little color, but
Fanzoué.
this is perfect because these two are definitely like going to be in the rotation.
And then they got the GOAT, man. The GOAT,
yeah.
The GOAT, meaning, I'm not sure, when you bought the hat and you saw the GOAT, what was your thought process?
I mean, well, I just think it's such a, like, it just looks good. Like, this just looks clean, and I also think it's something about the logo versus spelling out GOAT. It's a little bit less on the nose for some reason. I don't know why. But I wore it on stage, and I was like, man, this is kind of cocky to wear this on stage. Bro. If I bomb and I'm wearing the GOAT, it's like, man, are you the GOAT?
Right, are you the GOAT? So, no, the concept behind that, man. So, since I do hair, and a lot of people will refer to my comments and call me the GOAT, never once do I say I'm the best or I'm better than anyone. But what that indicates is that you are putting that effort in. You are the greatest person you can be. And I'm sure someone like yourself, 7.5 years, you obviously make a living doing comedy, right? You don't work like a UPS part-time.
No.
Right.
I don't know why you say UPS. What can Brown do for you? I mean, that felt a little on the nose.
From my understanding, it's a lot. It takes a lot of work to make a living.
Yeah,
on
I've
comedy.
ruined my life, dude, doing this.
Right.
I have ruined every relationship. I have fucked up so much of my shit. Like, this is all I have at this point.
He said, this shirt and this box. No, but that's what it stands for. Is the greatest version of yourself, the GOAT.
I like that. See, that makes sense to me that you would like. There's a philosophy behind it,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I have no issues wearing it if I can.
Oh, you wear it with pride.
Yeah, wear it with pride because I'm like, this is, and it's so funny because someone asked me if this is my merch, and I was like, I'm not famous enough to sell that yet, but I'll sell the combs for now. But dude, I love this, the black one and the white one. That's fucking dope.
Yeah,
dude.
I figured you got the white one. I'm like, why not? Get the
Yeah,
black
and this
one?
has this on here too.
That's my name. So
Yeah.
you remember me, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but dude, I appreciate. Like I said, the support was dope, man, and we wanted to bless you. But yeah, back to the stories, man. Rue, I know that's your boy. How long have you guys been knowing each other?
So ever since I started, bro, I heard about Vic, and you know, one time we were booked on the same show. My buddies, that's when we first met up, and you know, one of the things that I noticed off the bat was how hard he works. He went on in the beginning, and he was like, "Yeah, I gotta get another show," and I was like, "How you gonna knock out 2 shows in one day?" And I'm fresh as hell in the game, and so I was like, "How you gonna knock out 2 shows in one day?" And then you know, I had him on Facebook. This dude had 4 shows in a night. I'm like, man, this dude is a work horse. One thing you can always appreciate, even if you don't even think the guy's funny, like it's his freaking work habits. The dude's like, you don't like. It's crazy how you don't do cocaine because the way that you, how long you have to work.
Bleep that, no,
bro.
no.
He's like, I do.
No, no.
He's like, I do this shit.
I got cold brew in here. This is
No,
all
bro,
natural.
because dude, this man. This is for to give you your flowers too, bro. I look up to you, man. There's a lot of times we get conversations in the green room, and it always asks, "Hey, man, who do y'all be following?" Your name always comes up, bro.
Thanks,
and there's
dude.
nothing but
That means a lot.
great comments, bro, from a lot of Chicago goats and Ken Flores. He thinks the world of you too, bro. And you know what I'm saying? So it's
Dude,
like,
I can't follow him anymore, dude.
Dude.
I was like offended. I'm like, dude, why did you get this good? What the fuck is this?
Out of nowhere, right?
Yeah, he just became a beast, dude. I think he's so likable and so his energy is so.
You know what? I
correct.
just see confidence.
Yes,
You could tell he found his niche and he's running with it.
and he's completely himself on stage.
And I'm not gonna lie to you. Maybe this is a strategy that comedians do or not. But everything I see of him online, it's all improvised. It's all crowd work. It's none of his jokes. It's just him going back and forth with the audience and this and that. And that's hilarious. So it makes you want to actually see him.
Yeah, which
You
is
know what I
just, well, that's what a lot of comics are putting out crowd work because they don't want to burn material. So they put out improvised
strategy.
stuff. So that way, when you come see him live, you haven't seen the joke yet. Because if you put out jokes and they come see you, they're like, oh shit, I saw this one already.
True.
They might not laugh as hard, but also no one knows who most of us are. So like, someone in Kansas might see the joke, but if they come and see you, like someone in Chicago sees it, they're not gonna necessarily have seen
Right.
the bit. But yeah, man, I know that the biggest thing in comedy, I think for me that I like as comedians, and I'm sure you feel this in your industry, the respect from your peers
Yeah.
is like the best.
That's
Like,
the- yeah, that's the
I
best.
mean, the audience. I obviously want the audience to like me. I want that to be a thing, but I want my peers who I respect to be like, oh, this guy's funny. 'Cause
It's that
means-
friendly competition.
Yeah.
Because even when I get up, so back to your point earlier, is like sometimes they have me as an opener because they know like, all right, Los, you're a strong opener and a strong closer, so we want you in prime time. So sometimes if it's a certain show, they want me to open up because I set the bar, you know. And when I set the bar, it's nothing better. Yeah, you might get people that get up and clap and all that, but it's nothing better to me than when I get backstage and everybody, all my dudes are like, dude, you fucking rocked it. Now I got to step my game up.
Yeah.
So you set that bar and it makes me feel good. But I'm assuming comedy it almost goes hand in hand. It's crazy. It goes hand in hand. But like I said earlier, your job is to make people laugh, and my job is to teach people. And you can make people laugh, and you can teach people at the same
That's
time.
why I try to have. I mean, some of my jokes, not all of them, but I think a lot of the jokes, and this is what as you get better at comedy, you can actually do this. Is like you don't want to make I never want to make the show a TED Talk, right? Like I never want to make people have to be like, oh man, I gotta know this about like to get that joke. I gotta have read. You know, people
Yeah.
don't fucking read shit anymore. Everyone's dumb. So you gotta have topics that are palpable, right? But it's important to. I think if I can make someone look at something in a different perspective or a different way, that's cool to me. They'd be like, oh, I didn't realize that angle of that, or like I
Yeah.
didn't think about that side of it, and like. It even begins like with early when I was like a year into comedy, I was doing all these relationship jokes, and I was like it's very male point of view, like all like just being a guy. And then I realized like a female comic who was a good friend of mine, she's like, you know, the reason that women do that is because of this. And I was like, oh shit, I didn't know that because like I never got that perspective. So then I started adding the female side to all the jokes. Now the jokes are all double in length, and now I get the whole room laughing, not just
Yeah.
the guys.
Okay.
So just that example of like, oh, this is important to include everything in the joke. So whenever I do a joke, I try to get all sides of it. That
Yeah.
way I can play devil's advocate, but I can also be like, let's do a not if we're gonna make fun of women, we got to make fun of men too, and then
Right.
always make fun of both sides, because otherwise you become unrelatable to like
And
half the audience.
It goes the same way, right? As an educator, 24 years of doing hair, bro, I can't just teach people that are beginners. I also have to put material out there for veterans. Because if I'm in there teaching you the most simple things as an educator, people that have been doing hair for 10 plus years are going to look at me like, okay, what else? So I have to create material for everybody. So I asked you about your worst show. And obviously I was really excited to hear that, and that shit was hilarious. But now, what in your 7 years, what was your best show, your best experience that you've gotten so far?
It's hard because there's like best experience, like
I mean,
most
besides
fun.
headquarters.
Yeah, besides the obvious. But I think the one that was like, there's been a couple that have been like career changing or pivotal. Like I got to open for Roy Wood Jr. like 8 months into comedy, which is
wow.
like crazy.
Yeah.
And that set like changed my like it put me on the map in Chicago. It also got me into like 15 comedy festivals across the country. Like that clip and that set. And then like, even just talking with him and like hanging out with him and being like, now I have his like I talk to him, like we're in touch.
Nice.
So just having that early on was like, oh, that gave me the confidence to like take me forward, and like, and I knew it was one of those things. I'm like, I'm with like when you're around people who are great like that, you have to rise up to what you were saying. Like,
Yeah.
I had to open that show like cold, and I had to do like 8 minutes, and I like did my best 8 minutes and just like high energy, fucking was like dressed up, like really put up this best set of my life kind of at the time. And you know, he liked it. He was talking about jokes I did, and like it was just, and then he went and did an hour and 40 minutes and just murdered. It was like insane. But that was just a thing that like I always remember that moment, because I was like, this is a noticeable, when I look back on it, I'm like, that was a defining moment, and like that
career.
changed things, you know. And now I do so many shows now that sometimes you like lose sight of that. It's important to like pause and look back and be like, all right, like what happened this week? Because I'll be doing like Ruben's. I'll be doing this weekend. It's like I think 7 shows between
Shit.
Thursday and Sunday. So like I don't even like I'm gonna black out in the middle of it and forget half of the shit. So I gotta be like I gotta look back and be like what happened, like reflect on what that was.
Right.
And the shows are all different. Like your guys' show is different, then the Laugh Factory show is different, and then like I'm doing a storytelling show. Like it's all so different sets for all these shows. So it's like, what material am I gonna do on this show? And you gotta start thinking about that, because it's important to like look back and be like, oh, I've amassed all this material. Like that feels really good to be like, I can do this show, I can do this one, I can do, you know, like a black room, I can do a white room, a north side room, and be able to do all that is like, it just feels validating to be like, I have enough material now at this point to do it.
Right. That's one thing that Ruben kind of opened my perspective on that, because to me, I thought jokes were jokes until he was telling me, he's like, nah, dude, you got a crowd full of Latinos. There's certain things you could say. You got a crowd full of white people. Certain things you could say. Now you got gays, you got trans, I mean, the list goes on. You have to understand your material and all that. So like anything else, it takes time and experience, right?
Yeah,
You have to go through some shit to get good.
And you got to bomb. Like you got to bomb in front of those groups and realize like, oh shit, I can't say that. Like,
Yeah, and then you figure out who really your friend, because they'd be like, good set. I'm like, bro, you lying. That's
You
just
lying.
on you,
yeah.
bro. When you do amazing at shows and you see nobody followed you, you're like, bro, was that not that good?
Man,
Bro,
dude, I do
after-
shows I lose followers.
Bro.
So I was like, oh, fuck, that's, damn.
Bro,
they
I-
really didn't like that set at all, bro. That's
Dude, after that show, man, I had people going pictures, asking for pictures.
Yeah, that feels
When's
really
the next
good.
one, like tagging me, and like, you know what I'm saying, the most followers. And so it's one of those things, like as an overall show performance and what happens afterwards, definitely Latinx Cell over here at Laugh Factory.
Laugh
And-
Factory is one of those venues, like you're talking about diverse audiences
Yeah.
and different crowds. Like that's probably to the jokes that you're telling. Like, oh, I'm coming from this background. These people are going to get my jokes, and that's why this show is amazing, because you're attracting a certain demographic to the show. And a diverse audience is the best audience. If you always have one type of either, like you might think I'm an Indian comedian, I want all Indian people to show. Yes, that can be good for like some of the jokes, but I don't just tell like Indian jokes. So
right.
like they're not going to maybe like, or even sometimes all Indian older is bad. Like I've bombed, and it's embarrassing to bomb in front of your people, dude. That's like
You can't go back to the hood, bro.
yeah. They're like, man, get out of this wedding. You're like, man, I'm fucking bombing in front of it's so bad. So you have to, a diverse audience is the best, because it's like you can touch on all these different things. You can touch on like race.
Does it ever
and-
get awkward where you got a diverse audience, so you're saying jokes about one race and then the other race is trying to laugh out of respect or not trying to get...
Yeah, and then that's why you can call that out though. You're like, all right, look, like the one black dude laugh is cool. Like you can say, you know, you gotta be able to like be dynamic, and that's why the best comics like, and you also can ease into it, right? If you just start with like, I remember I was doing a show at the Laugh Factory. The host was trying to do crowd work and talk to the crowd, and he's like, "Oh, where you from, man?" And then someone goes like, "Oh, I'm from like like East Asia." And then he goes, "Yeah, where are you from?" And like it just started becoming like he was just finding out everyone's race.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, man, maybe don't like count everyone's race at the show. Like before it wasn't like a joke. It was just like, "Oh, you're black, all right." And it was like that was the crowd work. I was like, wait, what? We're just like,
Dude, what was his
He
name?
was trying to find an ethnicity. He was trying to find. I'm looking for a Mexican.
I think he was trying to find one to do a joke
Yeah.
off of. But it was like 8 different races back to back.
What was his name? Alan from the first comedy show.
Oh, Alan Ford.
Dude, he got up and he was just like, he seen like my brother and like a couple of his dudes on the corner. He was like, "Oh, we got the Atlantic Kings on this side.
Yeah.
We got the GD." So that right off the bat was just hilarious.
Room shit is always fun.
Oh,
It's like
fuck.
shows the audience you're paying attention. And like that's why doing these shows are fun because you can be like, if you're closing, you'd be like, I've heard now a little bit of everybody's set. I know what everyone talked about. And if I have a joke that is like kind of similar or like same topic, if I open with that, the audience is like, oh, we already heard about that a little bit. Now he's like adding to it. So they think it's like magic because they're like, oh shit, he's like improvising that. He just heard this. But really, you like, I have this
Damn,
joke.
you know
Yeah,
what? I didn't
it's
even
all
think of that
riffing,
shit.
bro.
Yeah. And you can also riff, like, I mean, it's a heavy riff. I think when I opened this show, I said something like, why you dressed up? I'm like, I'm here to find a wife, dude.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I know y'all get married quick, so that's like, let's make it happen, dude.
So look,
what's it?
as an educator, right? Sometimes there's about 7, 8 educators that go on stage, and we all watch each other just like you comedians watch each other. Has there ever been a time, because it happens to us, there's a lot of times where if I'm an opener, and mind you, I do, like, sometimes we go to trade shows and they're like 3 days long. So we have to do 3 or 4 segments every day for 3 days. So by the second and third day, people have already seen you, your friends, your coworkers and all that. And then there's times where I'm watching them because I always like learning from people. I don't care how much experience you have. I'm always going to take one thing from everybody. And sometimes I sit there and I watch them, and then they're spitting some of my material.
Ooh.
But they'll sit there and explain a fade or a technique the way I would. And they use my methods and my techniques. Now I'm in there like, damn, bro, I'm going next, and I can't even say that. You just stole my material. Does
now
that
I
ever
look like
happen?
I'm copying you.
Right. Does
Yeah,
that ever
yeah.
happen to
Stealing
you guys?
material, bro. Carlos Mencia is the perfect.
Yeah, I heard
example.
Joe Rogan was out to whoop
Oh,
that
bro,
ass.
he was at Comedy Store exposing, dude.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a good question for you, Vic, too, bro. Because I mean, like I said, bro, you do 20 shows in a night. You know, you get seen very often, so a lot of people know your jokes. Have you ever spotted that, like that someone tried to like take your joke and attempted to make it better, but it really doesn't even?
Yeah,
make
they
it
try to
theirs?
throw a twist to it, but you know that's your
Yeah,
shit.
I mean, it's obviously it also happens naturally. Sometimes it's like group think, or I mean, at this point, think about how many comics there are, how many premises there are. You're gonna have natural overlap, right?
Right.
Especially if you do topical jokes, which are like about the news. Someone's
Yeah.
like this, the joke about this Tennessee cop that everyone's like, all the memes are coming out, like all the jokes were the same. They're like,
Yeah.
oh man, she really is a team player. Like like it immediately became hack in like
What was
2
crazy,
days.
I was hearing about that without even knowing the story.
Yes.
There was a meme that said, me telling my girlfriend I'm with my coworker, and then
Yeah.
you slide the photo, and it was a picture of her, my coworker.
Yeah.
I was like, what's going on here? And then I got the story, so I get it. Yeah, you talk about Andrew Tate, which is a popular
Yes.
subject.
So like that's why what I try to do to curb that is like I always try to do jokes. I do some topical stuff, but if I do a topical joke, it's to get into a joke that's about me. So that way you can't take the joke because it's like personal to me.
Yeah.
So that
True.
way, and those jokes are evergreen, right? So you have this material that's about yourself and your experience. No one can take that.
Right.
They might be able to take like the first part of the joke or whatever, but I'm like, that's not even the good part. That's just to get into this. But it has happened before. But the nice about comedy is like now everything's like documented, right? Like if I put out a tweet, I can go back and be like, oh, I actually had this premise in 2016, so you better
Right.
stop doing this fucking
better
joke,
stop,
you
yeah.
know? Because I
Yeah.
can come back and look at it and like same thing with like albums and things that are out there. I'm like, well, you can tell I've been doing this longer. So
Right.
yeah, and like at this point, that's what I'm always trying to do. If I do 4 shows in a night or 3 shows a night, I'm rarely doing the exact same set on each show. So I do try to change it up too. That way it's like dynamic for the audience, but also for myself. Otherwise, I'll get bored. I'll go crazy.
Yeah. You repeating the same thing. So who's your all-time favorite? Who's your favorite comedian now?
Well, all-time favorite, and then I'll go now. All-time favorite is Patrice O'Neal.
Patrice, rest in peace.
Rest in peace. One of the best. Check
Gonna
out
have to look
Elephant.
him up.
Oh,
Elephant in
Patrice
the
is-
Room. Yeah, the best, like one of the best comedy specials ever made. It's hard for me to watch stand up because I do it so much that I'm around it so much. I'm like listening. If I'm in the green room of this show, I'll watch like a minute of someone's set. I'm like, all right, I got the gist of this.
Yeah,
Now I
same.
know what to remark on.
You know
it.
what's crazy? You say that because I don't watch education at all. But
Yeah.
if I'm at a show, I'll sit at someone else's booth for 5 minutes.
5 minutes just to get
That's
a
all
little.
I need.
Yeah.
Boom, and keep it moving. Okay.
So,
That
dude,
makes
what's
sense.
the craziest drop-in that you've experienced so far?
Yeah, I mean Hannibal has done it on a couple shows I'm
Yeah.
on here. Hannibal Buress, because he's like Chicago. I think he has a place here, so sometimes he'll just be home and like I was at Zany's once, and I think I was like featuring or something, and right before me, I'm about to go up and do like 25 minutes and hot show, and then he comes on and does like half an hour, and they're like, "Oh, Vic, you're doing 8 now," and I was like, "Oh shit!" Like,
Bro, yeah.
and,
Dude.
and it's like you got to follow Hannibal Buress, like and like he's like just doing whatever he wants, and so sometimes it's hard like that, but it's kind of cool because you get to ride the energy, the
Right.
wave for sure. Like I usually drink like once, go hard 1 day a week, if that, and sometimes what I mean, but it's like I just drink whiskey, so it's like I might have 2 whiskeys, but I'm chill,
Right.
These guys are like, they're doing shots and shit. I'm like, we got like 4 shows. Like, what do we?
Relax.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't keep up. But they're like,
I don't know.
they
Start
got.
slurring and shit.
Yeah, they're like,
forgetting
we got
shit.
Eagle Rare, we got Blanton's, and I'm like, well, say less. Yes.
Oh God.
Well, dude, man, I'm excited to see you this Saturday, bro. I'm really looking forward to it. And again, thank you for being here, bro. This podcast is live. We could keep going forever, but thank God we got a timer because if not, we'd be here all day just chopping it up. Ruben, any closure words? And then Vic, just let us know where people can find you, man, in your schedule.
Man, once again, Vic, you are a blessing to know, brother. It's a big flex to have you as a friend. You're amazing, bro. You keep doing things. Safe travels. God bless you, and keep doing you, bro. You got trust me. You got a lot of people cheering for you, dog.
Thanks, man. It's so cool to be asked to do this, and like, man, I'm glad we met because I feel like
course.
now we're gonna work together a lot.
Oh, absolutely,
And
man.
I'm definitely gonna come in here and ask you for a discount on a haircut at some point.
Where do you go now? I have to ask. Where do you go
I
now?
go to shout out to Pete's Barbershop
Pete's Barbershop.
up north. Yeah, it's dope. But Ruben's telling me, he's like, man, you gotta like book you like 4 months out. Like,
No, not anymore. I
Yeah.
used to, but now that I thank God I make a living doing other things outside of cutting hair, so I'm more open.
okay,
So, dude, to me, it's always been more about building relationships. So if you ever do need a barber, you're ever in the city, take my number down, hit me up, and we'll make it
Yeah,
happen.
man. I
Because to
wanna-
me, the value is in the relationship. The fucking money comes and goes, right? So if you ever need one, shout out to Pete. But I'll be your B barber.
all right, dude. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm definitely fuck Pete. Actually, you know what? Yeah. Man, I burned that bridge.
Hey,
No, yes.
Hey, bro, it's an experience, bro. Cause he kind of like he'll say like, "Hey, handsome," and he'll line you up.
Yeah, dude. I
And
want you
he'll-
to like rub my face, do whatever.
Yeah, bro.
Dude. Yeah.
It's an experience, bro.
Yeah, get sensual. Turn
Oh,
the
the lights
down.
are down, bro. It's a red light district type
Oh,
shit, bro.
man.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
tripping? I don't know what's crazy.
I show up in a robe. I'm like, are we doing this or not?
He said, "Where do you want me to lay?"
Yeah.
But guys, thank you guys for watching, man. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. This is the Vic PANDYA. Did I
Yeah,
say it
Vic
right?
PANDYA.
Thick fun.
You can follow me on all social media at Vic PANDYA, VIKPANDYA. TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all that shit. See me on the road. See me.
And
on
guys,
tour.
we're dropping that podcast Thursday, the 9th. So
come Saturday.
come
too.
Saturday, we got a few tickets left. February 11th, 9 p.m. here at HQ, headquarters Chicago. Let's go. Woo, that was sick, man.